Hello everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back. I hope that you're all doing well. This is where I talk about the books that I'm reading, and I like to read diverse books and I highlight Canadian literature. If you are new, thanks so much for checking out my channel. Please hit subscribe and stick around. Today I am going to be talking about the Reading Across Canada Challenge. This has been a really fun challenge this year, and in November we were in the Yukon, and in December we are finishing the year in the Northwest Territories and Nunavut. The Reading Across Canada Challenge is basically to get people reading more Canadian authors and stories. And each month we have focused on a different province or territory, and we have a prompt for anyone who wants to follow the prompts. You don't have to. The only thing that you need to do to participate is to read some Canadian authors. So I will leave a link to my introductory video in the description box where you can learn all about the challenge. I will also leave links below to the tracker that you can use, and I will have the schedule and the prompts below that we had all year. So the challenge is coming to an end soon for this year, but in a week or so, I will be announcing the Reading Across Canada Challenge for 2024, and I will be sharing the prompts for next year, so stay tuned for that. As many of you know, we have taken the Reading Across Canada Challenge to the next level. You can become a member of the channel, and there are different perks for the different levels depending on what you choose. So anyone who wants to be part of a book club that reads CanLit, we meet online once a month. We have representation from BC to Nova Scotia, so we really are reading across Canada. Our November read was A New Season by Terry Fallis. We met at the end of November, and Terry was very kind to join us and talk about his writing and his latest book. We had a great conversation, and it was a lot of fun to learn more about the behind the scenes aspect of the book. The book club will be meeting again on December the 18th to discuss In Search of April Rain Tree by Beatrice Mossonnier. I will leave a link below if you are interested in becoming a member or learning more about it. That would be great. We'd love to have you join us. There is always the option to sign up for a month and cancel if you just want to take part in one of the gatherings. So as I said, we are currently in Canada's territories. In November, we were in the Yukon, and true tradition from the month before, I never had a chance to finish reading the book that I chose. So let's chat about the Yukon, and then I will tell you about the book that I chose and hope to read, and then I will give some recommendations for December when we are in the Northwest Territories and Nunavut. I might be a little biased, but the Yukon is beautiful. It's the only territory that I have visited, and I absolutely love it. I love the nature and the people and the feel of it. The Yukon is about the size, same size as Spain, to give you an idea on how big it is. The land is vast. The wildlife is incredible. It's a great place to see the northern lights and experience the midnight sun in the summer. Of course, that also means experiencing polar night in the winter. There is close to 70,000 moose in the territory. And did I mention that the population, the human population, is only about 43 or 44,000? It's known for the Yukon River, which is the second longest river in Canada. And it's also known for Mount Logan, which is the second tallest peak in North America. I've also been able to visit Carcross a couple of times, and just outside of Carcross is the world's smallest desert. It's only 1 square mile, and it's basically a cluster of sand dunes. The Yukon is most famous for the Klondike gold rush of the late 1800s. Approximately 100,000 people made their way through treacherous terrain to try and find gold, and most of them didn't make it. But this did make the Chilkoot Trail and the White Pass famous. The White Pass Railway was built to help with the passage, but by the time it was completed, so was the gold. And I've been on the train a couple of times. It was specially built because it's on the side of the mountain. So there wasn't enough room to make the railway the regular distance apart. So the two main cities in the territory are Whitehorse, which is where about 80% of the population live, and Dawson City. And it's in Dawson City where Robert Service, the poet that I was hoping to read more of, lived in the early 1900s. I picked up a poetry collection when I was in the Yukon the first time over 25 years ago, and I've only ever read a few poems here or there, which is basically what happened last month as well. But this is one that I will get back to, I'm hoping anyway. So we are ending the year off in the Northwest Territories and Nunavut. This used to be one territory. When I was growing up, it was just the Northwest Territories until 1999, when the territory was split and Canada gained Nunavut as a third territory. So if you are following the prompts, the prompt for December is to read an Indigenous author. This isn't hard from the territories. So I have a few suggestions of Indigenous authors from the Northwest Territories and Nunavut. I also have a couple of suggestions if you're not following the prompt but would like to read a book set in the Northern Territories. So first up is a book by Richard Van Camp, who is from Fort Smith, Northwest Territories. And I have several of his books on my shelf. The one that I'm most interested in getting to is Gather, on the Joy of Storytelling. Richard Van Camp shares the elements of a good story and how it transforms the people hearing the story and the storyteller. This has similar vibes, I grabbed it here, as Richard Wagamese's One Drum, Stories and Ceremonies for a Planet, which I absolutely loved. I also have a graphic novel by Richard Van Camp, A Blanket of Butterflies, which is the first of a series, I think. I don't often read graphic novels, as you know, but I wanted to check this one out because Richard Van Camp has written several books and I really need to get to them. Others on my radar are The Lesser Blessed, and if you like short stories, then I also have Moccasin Square Gardens on my radar. If you are looking for a book that doesn't necessarily fit the prompt, then I have two recommendations. The first is Confessions of an Igloo Dweller by James A. Houston. This is a memoir about the time that the author spent with the Inuit peoples of the Northwest Territories and the Yukon, I think. James Houston was born in Ontario and was an artist and a designer, and he was instrumental in raising awareness about Inuit art. And this book is his adventures with his family and the people of the Canadian Arctic. The second book that I have to suggest, which I forgot to grab, is Late Nights on Air by Elizabeth Hay. This story is set in Yellowknife, and it's about a man who falls in love with a woman after hearing her voice on the radio. For Nunavut, I have Split Tooth by Tanya Tagak, who is an Inuk throat singer from Cambridge Bay. And this is a book that I have seen people either really, really like and some who really don't. I'm interested where I will land because it is different than just a straightforward novel. It includes poetry and it's lyrical. I don't actually want to know too much about it because I think that it's a book that you have to experience, and I don't want to spoil that at all. And then the last recommendation, which I also forgot to grab, is a book set in Nunavut, and it's Compass by Murray Lee. Murray Lee is an author from here in Calgary, and I've talked about this book before. It's about a man who is interested in explorers and expeditions, and he sets out on his own adventure to the Arctic, very ill-prepared. And Murray Lee, I believe, spends a great deal of time as a doctor in Nunavut. And in this story, he includes Inuit mythology, and it's described as being like Life of Pi meets Into the Wild, which I loved both of those books. So this sounds like it might be a fun Canadian adventure book. So these are the recommendations for the Reading Across Canada Challenge in December. I also have a few links that has some suggestions that I will leave in the description box below. So please go and check those out. And please let me know what you read for the challenge in November for the Yukon, and what are you planning or maybe even already reading for this month for the Northwest Territories and Nunavut. I am hoping to either get to Split Tooth or Gather. We'll see what happens. Also a reminder that I will be sharing next year's prompts with you as we wrap up the year. Members of the channel are actually already getting a sneak peek of the prompts over 12 days. So if you are interested in that, then you can use the link below to join the channel or get some more details. I'm really looking forward to hearing about everything that you're reading for the challenge, and how the challenge has gone for you this year. And I look forward to chatting with you in the comments. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.